When the trade or a transaction takes place, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट आता है, वो होता है निगोशिएशन, अपना फेवरेट पार्ट, बार्गेनिंग। भैया ये सब्जी कितने को दी, वो बोलता है 50 रुपीज, 40 को दे दो, 45 में ले लो, फाइनली सेटल्ड एट 44 और 46, व्हाटएवर इट इज डन। सो निगोशिएशंस मैटर्स अ लॉट। तो जब इंडिविजुअल ट्रांजैक्शंस में निगोशिएशंस हो रहे हैं, तो क्या इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड में भी निगोशिएशंस होंगे? डेफिनेटली होंगे। May not be for price only, may be for price also, but more than that about the terms and conditions, because when it's a win-win situation, then only it will be a long-lasting situation. That's why in international trade also there are some negotiations which we are going to analyze in this unit. Chapter number 4, International Trade, unit number 3, Trade Negotiations. What exactly the chapter contents are, how exactly the negotiations are done, what kind of agreements are entered into by the countries, and what are the different authorities who play an important role in it, like World Trade Organization. Let's see what is that. Trade negotiation means an agreement between two or more countries or groups. It could be group of countries also, for a free trade between these countries or groups, and it helps for creating a perfect base for international trade, so that the agreements will be proper, the terms and conditions are acceptable to both the countries or groups, so it will be a smooth working. And for avoiding the conflicting areas between the countries or groups, that matters of course. So what we are going to analyze in this unit, trade negotiations include three parts: regional trade agreements, we can call it as an individual agreement between countries; the general agreement on tariffs and trade, GATT, that was the first best initiative taken at the international level by many of the countries; and World Trade Organization, which is actually having the base on GATT. So let's start with first, regional trade agreements, RTAs. It is a variety of trade agreements entered into at the international level. For example, agreement between India and Japan. There is no third person involved. It's an agreement between two countries, individual agreements. Different types of RTAs. First, unilateral trade agreement. Importing country offers benefits to the exporting country. Generally, it is done for development of exporting or that is the developing countries. For example, India found that there is a country, let's say country X, which needs to get developed. It is developing or underdeveloped country. Maybe India will make a one-sided agreement. Okay, we allow you to export the goods in our country. We are not exporting anything to your country just for your benefit. That is called as unilateral, one-sided agreement. Bilateral, two-sided agreements. Both or all the countries offering benefits to each other for specific goods or areas, generally for the development of all the countries becoming the part of agreement. Third, regional preferential trade agreements. Special facilities to the countries becoming the part of the agreement. For example, Global System of Trade Preferences among Developing Countries, GSTP. It is specifically for developing countries. So developed countries will not get entry in it. We need to get benefit of each other. That is regional preferential trade agreement. Trading bloc, 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 is a group with common intention. Group countries that have a free trade agreement between themselves charges common restrictions on the other countries. For example, A, B, C, D, 4 countries are giving benefits to each other. If any other country comes to either of the countries, higher level of restrictions will be charged by all. For example, Arab leagues are having their own internal agreements. Free trade area, group eliminating the tariffs between members and independent tariffs for others. No tariff, no customs duty, no import duty between these group countries. Example, NAFTA, North American free trade agreement. North American free trade agreement. Next type of RTA is a customs union, a group eliminating the tariff between members and common tariff for others. For example, MERCOSUR, that is the group of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay and Venezuela having the free trade agreement between each other. Economic and monetary union, group having the common currency among the member countries. In earlier times, there was not a common currency. Country A uses its own home currency and B uses its own. But here now the common currency is used. For example, European Union using the common currency called as Euro. Thus, RTAs are playing an important role in the international trade, but at the individual or a group level only. There is no authority which is controlling all these agreements. So that's why there was a need that all the countries should come together to have some common agreement. That's why, apart from RTA, the second concept was evolved, that is the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, GATT agreement. It means a legal agreement between many countries with a motive of promoting international trade and restricting or eliminating the trade barriers. There should not be trade barriers between two countries, or it should be minimized at least. That was the baseline for GATT. First discussed during the United Nations Conference on Trade and Employment. Firstly, signed by 23 nations in Geneva on 30th of October 1947. That was the year 1947. Finally, it is signed by 123 nations on 14th April 1994. So that was a great duration, but of course, one by one the countries were coming in. And established the WTO, that is World Trade Organization, the successor of GATT. GATT was having some limitations, so it took a lot of time to come together. Then it was converted into WTO. Of course, we are going to analyze in detail. Why the GATT lost its relevance? It was a very good concept, started with few and reached to many of the countries. First, it became obsolete in faster changing business world at international level. It was following the earlier rules, and of course, in last few years the trade at international level has changed a lot. So it was not accommodating that faster change in the business world. Expansion of international investments. Now the free investments are allowed. Anyone who is from country X can directly invest in country Y. That is called as the direct investment or foreign direct investment, which we are going to analyze in the next unit. So that is also not actually covered by these agreements. Was not covering the intellectual property rights and the trade in services. It was mainly related to goods, but in last few years services and IPRs, intellectual property rights, has gained much of importance. That was not covered. Inadequate institutional structure and dispute settlement system. So it was not properly created. Who will solve the dispute? And again, the developed countries were playing an important role and dominating the others. Could not clear some ambiguities. Some points were still under discussion. Efforts at liberalizing the agricultural trade were not successful. More stress was given on commodities, manufactured goods, but agriculture sector was not properly covered. So these limitations gave rise to WTO. So we have seen what was GATT, how it worked. Of course, the baseline was very good, but ultimately, due to some limitations, WTO was introduced. Let's see what is WTO and how it works. World Trade Organization. It was established to replace GATT. It is an intergovernmental organization to regulate the international trade. All the governments of all the countries came together, so it has been formed by all. Officially commenced its work on 1st January 1995 under the Marrakesh Agreement signed by 123 nations on 15th April 1994. That we have seen. Once that agreement was done, GATT was not in establishment. The WTO was introduced to all. It is the largest economic organization in the world, dealing with the regulation of trade in goods, services and IPR also, which was a limitation of GATT. Also provides the framework for negotiating the trade agreements and dispute resolutions. Of course, when all these countries are coming together, it is quite obvious that there will be some disputes, and every time, in every meeting, some new factors comes in. So some agreements are done for that also. Its most of the areas are covered in Uruguay round of agreement. In that agreement, almost all the factors were covered, which were not covered by the GATT agreement. Now, how WTO actually works? What is the structure of WTO? First, Secretariat located in Geneva, headed by Director General. It is the apex authority. Then Ministerial Conference, General Council, Goods and Service, IPR Council and committees. Let's see in detail. Tier 1, Ministerial Conference, which is reporting to Secretariat. Takes the decision on all the matters under any of the multilateral trade agreement, meets at least once every 2 years. So meeting at least once in 2 years. See the time span. A meeting in 2 years, because there are supplementary or supporting systems also. So basically works on the agreements done between 2 or more countries or groups. General Council meets several times in a year, and at the Geneva headquarters, the Central Council also meets as the trade policy review body and the dispute settlement body. So these are other bodies or supporting bodies working. So it is taken care by General Council, which is actually meeting for so many times whenever required at the headquarters in Geneva. Next supporting system is Goods, Services and IPR Council. It reports to the General Council. These councils are responsible for overseeing the implementation of WTO agreement in their respective areas of specialization. So different parts are made and every team takes care of the agreement which comes under, or part of agreement comes under WTO. So they are involved in actual implementation of these agreements. Then there are committees and subcommittees helping the higher authorities. Deals with the individual agreement and other areas such as the environment, development, membership applications and regional trade agreement. So we can simply call it as a day-to-day work. So this committee takes care of all these things. More and more countries should join in. If there is any conflict, what exactly the conflict is, so that the higher authorities can solve. So these committees are helping the higher authorities. So that was the basic structure of WTO. Now, what is the impact of WTO? Is it working? What exactly benefits we are getting from WTO? It has given some guiding principles on some areas like trade without discrimination. The trade should be proper. There should not be any discrimination between developed countries, developing or underdeveloped countries. The national treatment principles. Some principles were set for different groups of countries, and it is properly followed. Free trade. The areas were created where the free trade shall be followed and the taxes will not be there or lesser taxes shall be applied. Predictability. Some predictions are possible because the agreements are clear, so I can predict for next 10 years which country will give me how much tax benefit and to whom I am expected to give the benefits. Principle of general prohibition of quantitative restrictions. Some restrictions are formed by all the countries. Maybe let's take an example of drugs. If it's a prohibition, it is applied to all the countries. So it's a common decision. Then greater competitiveness. If there is any monopoly creation by a specific country or a company or domination by the developed countries, then WTO takes care of it. The guidelines are given for that also, for having a fair competition. Tariffs as legitimate measures for the protection of domestic industries. Some part or some rules are made for domestic industries also. 100% export-import is not allowed. Some guidelines are given for domestic industries also. Transparency in decision making. Again, there was no faith in that because the developed countries were having the stronghold, but now transparency is created. At least the try is made by WTO. Progressive liberalization. So gradually the liberal policy will be applied. Initially there was no import-export. Gradually the percentage will be increased. How it will be done? The principles and guidelines are given by WTO. Market access. If I have agreed that I will allow the other countries or companies to enter, then how they will get an access? How the mechanism will be done? Again, guidelines given by WTO. Special privileges to less developed countries, as we discussed. Developed or developing countries should get an advantage. Protection of health and environment. Now the import-export is allowed doesn't mean that everything is allowed to be exported. Otherwise, a country may export garbage also. So protection of health and environment guidelines are also given. A transparent, effective and verifiable dispute settlement mechanism that was lacking in GATT. A perfect mechanism or a committee is formed for solving the disputes. Of course, these kind of disputes are at international level, takes a long time, but still the mechanism and guidelines are given by WTO. So in this way, WTO has given so many guidelines covering variety of areas. Now an overall overview of WTO, its existence and impact. The Agreement on Agriculture aims, this was first agreement promoted by WTO, Agreement on Agriculture, aims at strengthening GATT disciplines and improving the agriculture trade, which was not covered by GATT actually. Agreement on application of sanitary and phytosanitary, that means that we have already seen, that is for caring animal, plants, etc. helps to avoid the abnormal restrictions. Agreement on textile and clothing replaced the multi-fiber agreement. MFA provides that textile trade should be deregulated. Regulated means having license system. That is, deregulated means anyone can enter. By gradually integrating it into GATT disciplines over 10-year transition period. So it will take little time to come out of licensing. Agreement on technical barriers to trade, TBT, that we have already seen, aims to prevent standards and conformity assessment systems from becoming unnecessary trade barrier by securing their transparency and the harmonization with international standards. What does it mean? Every country was having its own trade standards, and that is okay, that is justified, but it should be harmonized, means it should be at par, equal, same. It should be same for all the countries. That is done by WTO. So restrictions are okay, that must be there, but it should be standardized. Agreement on trade related investments, that is TRIMS, expands disciplines governing investment measures in relation to cross-border investments by stipulating that countries receiving the foreign investment shall not impose investment measures such as requirements, conditions and restrictions inconsistent with the provisions of the principle of national treatment. What does it mean? See, many times the countries, developing countries or developed countries, gets the benefit or investment from the other countries or maybe from IMF also. Now there is a risk that the country giving that money will create abnormal restrictions. For example, country X made some investment in B, or country Y, investment in the sense gave some funding. So X is in a position to have terms and conditions in agreement. It should not be abnormal. That agreement is also covered by WTO. Any funds given should not create abnormal restriction on the receiver. Anti-dumping agreements that we have already seen seeks to prevent anti-dumping measures from being abused or misused to protect the domestic industries. So sometimes the anti-dumping duty is such a harsh that the other countries will never get developed, and sometimes it is so lenient that even though it is there, it's not working for the domestic countries, so companies. So it should be properly planned, covered by WTO. Customs valuation agreement specific rules for more consistent and reliable customs valuation and aims to harmonize the customs valuation system. See, the custom duty, as we have seen, ad valorem duty, percentage of selling price. Here the valuation of goods comes in, which is covered at the final level, of course. So how to make the valuation of these goods? Again, it should be standardized because the goods are exported from country A, imported in country B, both are making different valuations. So some standard rules should be there, and that is again done by WTO agreement. Agreement on pre-shipment inspection, PSI, intends to secure a transparency of pre-shipment inspection wherein a company designated by the importing country conducts inspection of the quality, volume, price, tariff classification, custom valuation, etc. properly. So when it is pre-shipment inspection, obviously there is a risk that if the inspection is not properly done, there is another risk that unnecessary over restrictions are done. So again it should be standardized, again covered by WTO agreement. See, each and every part is taken care by WTO agreement. That is what is the beauty of this. Agreement on rules of origin provides for the harmonization of rules of origin for application to all non-preferential commercial policy instruments. It also provides for dispute settlement procedure and creates the rules of origin committees. As we have seen, rules of origin. If a product is coming from specific country, then we will have some restriction or additional duties. Allowed, no problem about it. But it should not be much harmful or it should not create unnecessary burden on the other countries. Again taken care by WTO agreement. Agreement on import licensing procedures relates to simplification of administration procedure and to ensure their fair operation so that import licensing procedure of different countries may not act as trade barrier. We have seen that a stringent or costly import system or licensing system automatically bars the import duty or imports. But it is okay again to certain level, but it should not be abnormally applied. So again the agreement takes care of that. It should be a proper and harmonized similar clearance system in all the countries. Agreement on subsidies and countervailing measures aims to clarify definition of subsidy and strengthen the disciplines by subsidy type and to strengthen and clarify the procedure for adopting CVDs. We have seen that the countries gives the subsidy to our producers, they go to the other country and that other country charges CVD. Sometimes it is higher than the benefit which I am receiving in my country. It creates the abnormal situation. To avoid that, the WTO agreement gives guidelines for subsidy as well as the CVD charging taxes also. That was the 11th point. Agreement to safeguard and clarify disciplines for requirement and procedure of imposing safeguards and related measures which are emergency measures to restrict the imports, the event of a sudden surge in imports. Sometimes we have to create a sudden import restrictions or sometimes export restriction also due to the situation. In that case, there should again be some guidelines, and it is again covered by WTO agreement for sudden restrictions created on import and exports. General agreement on trade in services. Now service sector, till now it was manufacturing. This agreement provides the general obligations regarding trade in services such as most favored nations treatment and transparency. In addition, it enumerates the service sector. Proper taken is care for service sector, because nowadays a huge export is made in the form of services, like software services given, knowledge processing services are given. So WTO has covered the agreement of services also, which was not covered by GATT. So guidelines are given for service sector also. Agreement for on trade related aspects of IPR, intellectual property rights. When I am preparing a software and I am exporting it to a person or a company in US, there is a huge opportunity that it will be cracked and someone else will use it. So some agreements are done for this also, guidelines. This agreement stipulates most favored nation treatment and national treatment for IPR, such as copyright, trademark, geographical indications, industrial designs, patents, IC layout, designs, and undisclosed information also. For example, taking a simple example, if a drug manufacturing company, that is a drug supplier and manufacturer company, manufactures or invents a new drug, medicine, then for a specific period it can have its copyrights. Let's say for 8 years the patents are given. After 8 years the agreement is open, the patents are not there, anyone can use that formula and manufacture that drug. It is for the benefit of both. The company which has invested a huge amount in R&D should get an opportunity to earn, but that medicine should not be so costly, so after 8 years it is open for all. Such kind of agreement comes under WTO. Understanding on rules and procedures of governing the settlement of dispute provides the common rules and procedure for the settlement of disputes related to WTO agreement. A common base to settle the disputes, the guidelines are given in case of normal disputes which may arise between the countries or groups. Trade policy review mechanism provides the procedure for the trade policy review mechanism to conduct periodical reviews of members' trade policy and the practices conducted by the members. So those who have entered in the trade policies, are they properly following the rules or not? Otherwise, at the time of agreement, all the signatures were made, but in actual practice, the countries or their heads are not following it. So that again guideline is covered in WTO agreement. Plurilateral trade agreement. A. Agreement on trade in civil aircraft. So for civil aircraft, again, because the aircrafts are moving from one country to another and going to the other country, so again there needs some agreement. Negotiations were ongoing alongside the Uruguay round to revise the civil aircraft agreement, an agreement from the Tokyo round, and to strengthen the discipline on subsidies. However, no agreement has yet been reached, and the agreement reached under the Tokyo round continues. So it is still continuing. Agreement on government procurement requires national treatment and non-discriminatory treatment in the area of government procurement and calls for fair and transparent procurement process. So as we have seen, government may decide that all the things we shall procure from our country, or maybe the security measures like guns, aircraft shall be purchased from a specific country. Again we need some guidelines for it. It is again covered by WTO agreement. Thus, the above are the agreements which is the net result of WTO. See, you must have seen that almost all the areas are covered by WTO, and still it is updating its agreement. So when it comes to the international level, WTO plays as an important role in this total procedure and problems arising from that procedure. Now there was one round called as Doha round supporting to WTO agreements. The agenda decided in meeting at Doha, Qatar, November 2001. It aims at major modifications of the international trading system through lower trade barriers and revised trade rules. So trade barriers should be lower and it should be properly revised. The negotiations include 20 areas of trade including agriculture, services, trade, market access for non-agriculture products and certain intellectual property issues. Some issues which are not till covered by WTO are discussed at Doha round, which will be updated in WTO agreement. Now, coming to the last part, WTO concern. What are the problems the WTO is still facing? The progress of multilateral negotiations on trade liberalization is very slow. So, liberalization is done, but still the rate is not so high. Liberalization means allowing other countries to enter in my country. Still the speed is slow. The complex network of regional agreement introduces uncertainties. Of course, the complexities are there. After all, it's an international trade. Some complex agreements are there, clauses are there. The achievement in liberalization trade in agriculture, textile, apparel, and in many other areas of international commerce has been negligible. So, such areas, agriculture, textile, are still ignored or not reaching to that height. The latest negotiations, such as Doha Development Round, have run into problems and their definitive success is doubtful. Still, some conflicting areas are continuing. The most of the promises of Uruguay Round Agreement to expand global trade has not been materialized, leading dissatisfaction of developing countries. So, developing countries are opening their countries, but still developed countries are not giving them that ground. That is what is a problem raised by developing and underdeveloped countries. For developing countries, the real expansion of trade in three key areas, that is agriculture, textile and services, has been dismissal. These three areas are the core areas for developing countries, but not much efforts taken for these three, that is agriculture, textile and service industry. Protectionism and lack of willingness among developed countries to provide market access has driven many developing countries to seek regional alternative. As we discussed, the developed countries refuses to give the entry, then developing countries comes back maybe to the domestic agreement or maybe some underdeveloped countries. So now it is not working to that extent which was expected. So here the problem arises due to developed countries. The developing countries faces difficulties in implementing the present agreements. There are the agreements, the actual implementation, practical problems they are facing. WTO needs to help. Groupism results in the apprehension of developing countries about the prospect of trade expansion under WTO regime. The underdeveloped or developing countries expect WTO to take the important role and to give some benefits taken from developed countries, but that much effect or that much benefit is not received due to groupism. Exceptionally high tariffs on selected products of developing countries in many markets and this obstruct their vital exports. So the products they are exporting, the developing or underdeveloped countries, higher taxes are charged on it. So again it creates a problem for them. They are not happy with WTO agreement and maybe they can go out of the agreement even. Tariff escalation, lower duties on imports of raw material and components and higher duties on finished product defeats the WTO purpose. Raw material or spare parts having very low rate, but finished goods are having very high import duty, again affects the overall trade. It is not so useful for poor and least developed countries as they don't have resources to take benefit of WTO agreement. For example, if you get a news that a Mercedes car or Mercedes company has reduced their prices by 5%, still you will be happy, but it is not useful for you. Maybe right now we are not having that much budget. On the same line, underdeveloped and poor developed countries, even though the agreements are made, they are not in a position to take the advantage of that agreement. So gradually, maybe if they don't get further additional benefit, they will go out of this regime. So that's a problem. So this was all about WTO, and coming to the end of this unit, we have seen in this unit how exactly the international trade works and what are the authorities which are controlling and assuring the benefit to all the countries at the international trade. So that was unit number 3, trade negotiations, under chapter number 4, international trade. Thank you.